secret combinations, lusting for power, gain, and glory are flourishing. A secret combination that seeks to overthrow the freedom of all lands, nations, and countries is increasing its evil influence and control over America and the entire world. I have faith that the Constitution will be saved as prophesied by Joseph Smith. But it will not be saved in Washington. In 1832, as some missionaries returned from their fields of labor, the Lord reproved them for treating the Book of Mormon lightly. As a result of that attitude, he said, their minds had been darkened. Not only had treating the sacred book lightly brought a loss of light to themselves, it had also brought the whole church under condemnation.
One, the Savior will return to the earth in power and great glory to reign personally during a millennium of righteousness and peace. Two, at the time of his coming, there will be a destruction of the wicked and a resurrection of the righteous. Three, no one knows the time of his coming.
We do not have the answers to all of the world's problems. They've not been revealed.
Travis Wingutzel, Alma chapter 32. Alma and Amulek did go forth and begin to preach the word of God unto the people, entering into their synagogues. Synagogue is exclusively Jewish. So, as a reader of the Book of Mormon, you will need to know the full religion of the Jews, their theology, their ritual, their don't memorize the scriptures and how they are to be interpreted, and etc. I have the list. It's somewhere up there above my view. I have to pull it all down, possibly determine how far down in the pile I have to go. Anthropological research would need to be performed to know. Because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints does not give us the answers in any manuals or textbooks. So, I'll give it to you. The Jews believe in the coming of a Messiah, Ben Joseph, in the latter days. Ever since the conquering of Babylon, which, that's when the Book of Mormon claims to start. The Jews were taken captive into Babylon. And ever since then, the Jews have been wanting their kingdom restored. And even though the Persians let them go back and rebuild the temple, it really wasn't the kingdom being restored, but they considered King Cyrus's order as a type and shadow similitude of the coming of the future Messiah Ben David. If not the first announcement to go back, but this was to go back, and so it's the second announcement for the restorer, the one who resurrects the religion. Messiah Ben Joseph erects the religion. Babylon insurrected the religion. And then a Messiah Ben David is to resurrect the religion. And so this Messiah Ben Joseph prepares the way for the coming of Messiah Ben David, to teach the people all about him, to use the rituals with the temple, and teaching from the scriptures that talk all about him, and then is supposed to be murdered by the enemy that insurrects the church and turns it into the great and abominable church. The abomination of desolation that the Greeks did to the Jerusalem temple, altering the rituals and beginning the practice of prostitution in the temple, paying money of tithes to have sex with a temple worker. So the great and abominable church is described in the Book of Mormon as just that. Fornication is that form of sex. Pornication, from prostitutes. Temple, sex for money. It is not images or statues. Because prostitute is before the statue, not the statue. Christians got it wrong. And so the calendar date and clock times are well established among the Jews because they use the Spirit to write their scriptures. They are seers, having visions and dreams in the likeness of things on the earth. The signs in the heavens for astronomy is revelation. That's the calendar date and clock times. Looking up into the sky this morning, you do not see the likeness of things on the earth. But these ancient seers designated certain constellations to be personified by things on the earth. Seer, revelator. And they are predictions of the future, with the calendar date and clock time placed in the future to where it occurred. And so that is the interpretation of their scriptures in the translation of Paleo-Hebrew, Greek, Egyptian, etc. Spirit, seer, prophet, revelator, translator. And so, that's the Word of God being talked about here because of the word synagogue. There is no Christian interpretation, especially since Christianity wasn't created back then. And the calendar dates and clock times are well past Christianity. Oops, I just destroyed a whole bunch of faith bubbles. Or you are in denial of truth and now have become an enemy and now commit crimes. And so, sure enough, the Zoramites in chapter 32. Alma and Amulek, after much labor among them, began to have success among the poor class of people. For behold, they were cast out of the synagogues because of their coarseness of apparel. Poor. Therefore, they were not permitted to enter into their synagogues to worship God. The sacrament security, the new priesthood office, banished them. ID, please. Nope, sorry. Out. Stupid PNG maker had his arm chopped off. What kind of crap program is that? Nonetheless, that being esteemed as filthiness, they misinterpreted the scriptures to think that prosperity equals righteousness and poverty equals wickedness. Oops. They're supposed to have a bishop's storehouse so that there would be no poor among them. Yeah, if you're a Mormon, you're either cringing or you're very angry. And if you're an expo, you're going, I'm not comfortable with this because the church isn't true, Travis. But yet, that's what you're saying, isn't it? I'm confused. Therefore they were poor. They were esteemed by their brethren as dross. Therefore they were poor as to the things of the world, and also poor in heart. So, to skip ahead, they were believing in the Great Spirit Jesus, Hamuzion. And just because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints says that Jesus has a body of flesh and bones as tangible as man's, and is separate and independent from Heavenly Father, which means they're not Christian, nonetheless, Mormon Jesus does supernatural stuff, like flying from outer space. So, oops, nope, not real either. Just because you give him a body, he now has to follow the laws of physics. He can't defy them. Oh, but it's a higher form of physics. No, it's called not real. You can't merge not real with real and call it real. God, bunch of dumbass illiterates. And so, yeah, Mormon Jesus is not real. These Zoramites took over a Jewish synagogue and replaced it with Christianity. And they chant their prayer, their rote prayer, which is a violation, to the Great Spirit. It's all throughout the Book of Mormon of the wicked people. The wicked people believe in the Great Spirit, Jesus. Huh. But I thought this was literal history written in the Roman, or the Babylonian period time. Even Bruce R. McConkie put 74 BCE, which is the Roman period time. Which was brilliant of the authors. Because the Romans believed in a physical, human, but not real, deity. Deities in the plural. For Mormonism. And added to the great and abominable practice that the Greeks did to the Jerusalem temple by including men to be prostituted so that women can have jobs and prostitute their husbands in the temple. But Daniel chapter 2, about the idol statue god of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, in the likeness of things on the earth, talk about a kingdom after Rome. That is the iron of Rome for the feet, but it's mingled with clay. And I've been telling you who it was the whole time. And finally last year, 4 months late, Pope Leo XIV comes out and confesses, yeah, ooh, that's Christianity. The Great Spirit Jesus. Ta-da! I just destroyed your faith bubbles with the Book of Mormon, Mormons. And so you're either shocked and horrified. No, I gotta find somebody who will tell me what I want to hear. Or You want to murder me right now and commit crimes because that's the best you can do right now is cyber terrorize me. Cowards. You refuse to humble yourselves. You have to be compelled to believe. Ta-da! The Zoramites, specifically the poor Zoramites. The rich Zoramites didn't humble themselves. They continued to believe in Jesus and chanting their prayers to him repeatedly. But the poor Zoramites were now confused. What do? We're cast out of our synagogues. We can't worship Jesus anymore. You dumbasses. So yes, he talks about being humble and changing your mind, turning your direction. Not a second physical pain. So that you begin to learn the truth. The scientific process called faith. That Christians botched with spiritual witness feelings rather than the science of spirit. Seer, prophet, revelator, translator. So they have to re-educate them into this process. Also, the end result. The people that believed in Alma and Amulek were saved and were in an exodus away from Zoram. However, those that remained were destroyed by the Lamanites. And so, this Book of Mormon teaching is, in the learning of the Jews, talking about synagogues, condemning Christianity, condemning the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for not having a storehouse at every single ward around the whole world. From the prairies to the East Coast, there is a major storm that is threatening the lives of multi-millions. Mormons live in those areas. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, by not having a storehouse at every single ward, have betrayed Mormons. They are abandoning them to ruin and murder. Any deaths of Mormons, let alone deaths of others in the community, because if they saw how the church teaches Mormons to be prepared and not be compelled to believe, being acted upon by the church leaders through the manuals, rather than to be independent agents by teaching Mormons how to study their scriptures properly through science. Other people would go, I kind of like that. I want to join this church. How much do I owe you? Oh, it's free? I just have to pay to the storehouse for the poor? Wow. Brilliant economic system. And yet, we could claim they're so smart And yet, and yet, so with the advent of Armageddon, we are witnessing their tactic of how they're implementing it. Slow and steady. They're transitioning America into a police state, into a fascist authoritarianism, doing away with all of the constitutional rights to Americans. We are in this transition. This is not a test run like it was in 2020 and 2021, in case you didn't recognize the pattern matches with George Floyd in Minneapolis, and now, yeah, a Mormon in Minneapolis, even though she's an apostate Mormon, was. I told you, history of the world, the majority of revolutions began with the death of an innocent woman. Much to authoritarians' displeasure. Nonetheless, will America stand strong or will America be crushed? Because we're in a civil war, in case you didn't understand what this meant. Trump has declared war on America by not declaring war on America, but leaking he's declared war on America by implementing the actions of a person who's a president who has declared war on America without declaring war on America. And this is the whole problem. In the news, they're talking about a memo that was leaked from the White House administration saying, go into people's homes. Don't use a warrant. Just go. Go into churches, go into schools. You don't need a warrant, just go. You do need a warrant. But if the president had invoked martial law or the Insurrection Act, you don't need a warrant. So he's doing the things that would be done under the Insurrection Act, that he's negotiating to be done. Without doing it. This is what he does. We all know this because we've all read his book, and so we know very well who Trump was when we let him in the White House. And then he bit us. Hey, why did you bite us? You knew who I was when you put me in. The president and the snake. Well, actually, the snake is the president in this case. The Americans and the president. What is interesting in verse 17, if thou wilt show unto us a sign from heaven, then we shall know of a surety, then we shall believe. Well, why did you bring out sign in the heavens? Where'd that come from? Because the Jews, as I told you, give you the calendar date and clock time for him to come. And so, yes, the date has already come and gone. You now know. If a man knoweth the sign in the heavens, he has no cause to believe, for he knoweth it. That's the whole process of faith. Is that you're supposed to not know in the beginning, but you run the test of science for agronomy, for what he will use. Seed, likened unto the word, turned into fruit. No spiritual witness feeling. And so, yeah, if you're given the answers, you didn't learn anything. You didn't learn how to learn from the scriptures. That's why all this time I refuse to reveal to you the identity of the Mormon who is your Christ, Mormons, until after 2024. Because you didn't believe, and so now you're compelled to believe. And see how it worked? You don't believe still. You're still waiting for Jesus. The Book of Mormon is so true, isn't it? Only if it's literal history. And so in the context of the bigger picture, the Zoramites were not prepared for the coming destruction of the people. The poor, who believed in Alma and Amulek, exodused to go to Zion, gathered out from the world back to Zion. This is the whole teaching of the Book of Mormon. They have exodus patterns throughout the whole Book of Mormon. People being scattered and needing to be gathered to Zion for safety. But there are three main scenarios of the end result during Armageddon. One, Nephi, writing his record in Zion with the temple, is in peace, safety, and refuge away from his brethren, the Danites. I mean Laman and Lemuel, who turned black for their wickedness. Brilliant! Everybody thinks it's racism. And yet, Brigham Young, hilarious, Mr. Racist himself, is condemned in the Book of Mormon and mocked as a black man. Oh, hilarious. Again, not literal history. It's used as a mockery tool of the racists who are plotting the entire destruction of mankind. Because it even talks about, or alludes to, that it's being burned from the sun for the darkening of the skin. Wearing loincloths. And so that is in part of the burning in the latter days by Jesus, who's coming to burn you. Not real, remember? It's Christians that have to do it. Dumbass Mormon. Dear God. Obviously, they and them refer to Jesus and Heavenly Father, who are gonna come and burn people. Duh! Or, wow, shocker! No, you got burned. I have seen burned bodies. Your skin turns charred black. It is very sad to witness. You do not want your body burned. The Book of Mormon is trying to warn you of this. But people are going to believe whatever they want. And there are consequences for your beliefs. And Alma chapter 12, Bruce R. McClunky throws in beliefs in the list of how you will be judged. And he is correct, even though it's not in the text. That's the one thing he gets right. Everything else he gets wrong. Per se. Thank you, Bruce, for letting us know of the fuller meaning of Alma 32 with the date for the Roman period time. Thank you. And so, what do you know? Women can have the word given them by the Spirit. Amazing. Women are equal. They too can have the priesthood and priesthood office? Huh. Oaks, are you listening? No? You're still sleeping? Huh. Oaks. 17th of March, 1842. It's right there in the Joseph Smith papers. You knew it. You had access to it. You ignored it. You went and spoke about it at the pulpit of conference. And oops, now you're the president of the church. Still denying women. But then you bragged about how you made women equal with men in Sunday school and in the CES program to be able to read the manuals that you force us all to believe. Women can read manuals too now. I started that. That was me. Women are equal. They can read a manual too now. Why are women in the church? Why are blacks in the church? Why are LGBTQ in the church? Why? You're waiting to be compelled to believe? You're waiting for a sign in the heavens? Signs follow them that believe. That's why I'm teaching you how to interpret the signs in the heavens. So, if you notice on a number of videos that I've been doing for you guys lately, I've been showing you the sign in the heavens with the accompanying likeness of things on the earth. The vision with the calendar date and clock time. And then you will see the prophecies that I attach to them with actual things on the earth, not the likenesses of things on the earth, even though the pictures are a likeness of the things on the earth that I'm referring to, but it's in real time now. And so this week, for example, even last week, leading up to the 18th, I told you that D. Todd Christofferson will be speaking. And sure enough, he was a pre-recorded message, but I already knew that a month ago when they first advertised it. And told you about it then. And the concerns I had for speaking to youth, as his brother is now in jail for incest, child abuse, sexual child abuse. Naughty, naughty. And his other brother is gay, which is a sexual thing. And so, yeah, D. Todd Christofferson is now going to be speaking to youth. I've got some concerns as a parent of children. Oh, you don't? You're okay with that, huh? Well, then he gave his talk and I did the video about it, and oops, he should have listened. You didn't. Who am I? I don't have the keys to the administration building. The synagogue? My keys were revoked from the synagogue. I'm cast out. If you have not followed me and this is your first video, oh my God. 11,000 videos now. You are way behind. Way behind. And so, what then would you be doing when Armageddon strikes? The world descends into chaos, the government falls, the church gone, no longer functioning. The economy collapses, money is worthless. What do you do? Hello? Why? Why am I speaking to an empty room? Why? Calgon, take me away. I often do that anyway. I take baths because it's not designed for a shower curtain. That would be effective. But anyway, and so yeah, I take baths. Hot water. Oh, nice. Nice little headrest for me. I'll find myself sleeping quite often. Most mornings. Probably this morning. Well, saving the video, so we gotta make this at least 3 or 4 hours. Nonetheless, I have to be careful. It's bigger than the normal tub, but still I have to make sure that my feet don't get crunched, because that hurts. And hope that I wake up in time so that I'm not freezing in the colder water, which takes a while, but has happened on a few occasions. Nonetheless, you know, if I could just have a sauna in my room, or not a sauna, a jacuzzi, that would help. Just put it over there in the corner. So, yeah. For years, I've been preparing you guys for this. What are you going to do? And I went over some plausible scenarios that there would be Mormons who would rise up to claim they're now the leader of the church, follow them. There are those who would go their own way. Some would even be preppers, going to the extreme. Others would just be living their normal life. You know, maybe taking the year's supply half-heartedly and getting a week's supply. As we see with the storms, people don't prepare until the storm is upon them, and then they rush to the store hoping that there'll still be supplies left to survive the storm. That never works well. But nonetheless, people do it. And so, in this particular case, Alma and Amulek are there to help teach, even though this is not literal history, this is specifically scripted. Because if it was a Nehor Korihor, yeah, Oh, they kicked you out, did they? Well, follow me and you will never go hungry again. Be prepared. Yeah, those guys led people astray to profit off of them. Priestcraft. And even enforced with murder. Because a false prophet, false priest, false teacher, if you were to follow them, it would hurt you. Their lies will not lead to prosperity and goodness. It will lead to poverty and death. As the story illustrates, the precept. And so, we're in it. So what are Mormons doing now? Yeah. Social media influencers saying, I'm the chosen one, I know the knowledge on preparing for Jesus' coming. Follow me, like and subscribe. They're presenting themselves as false Christs, false prophets, false teachers. Just like Chad Daybell and Brian David Mitchell, Jody Hildebrandt, Ruby Frank, all of psychology, and the church leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who have abandoned us. The top leadership are not doing anything, are not saying anything to Mormons. Yeah, Karen is next for the young adults, but they had stopped it. They're only doing it because of a delay in the final solution for America. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Don't make me cry on that song. And yet, God, that's the song we're going to have to use, isn't it? God, bastards. Bastard-coated bastards. So, the prophets have gone silent, even though the Salt Lake Tribune, again with Mormon land, again brought up the article. Will Oaks talk about the Constitution to confront Trump? You put him in office, you dumbass. If you didn't like what Trump was going to do, why did you vote for him? Just unbleeping believable. You know, Governor Cox voted for Trump. He promoted him even. Both terms. And yet, now he's violating Trump's orders? Really? So, yeah. Bishops and stake presidents also, that's this priesthood office of sacrament security, bouncers. In Missouri, got an anonymous Mormon tip. Sneeze again? Oh. And so, yeah, there are bishops and stake presidents. The church news, as I covered last night, but it's been there for several days. The church has now had church news spread around the world, so that the Area 70 are now the ones responsible for the wards and stakes in their area, which has always been the case. But the church leadership at the top, the corporate board, are abandoning their perceived authority to, again, be passed down to others to do it for them. Apparently, the world is too big for them to handle. I can fix it. Transfer it to me. I'll fix it. They know what needs to be done. But as wicked people, they refuse to do it. They know that the consequences are going to happen, and yet they're still doing it because they want those consequences. I'm trying to warn you, you're not listening. So, yeah, we're also seeing people who quit. And again, yesterday, another Mormon couple murder-suicide. The blood is on Oaks' hands because he ran a test run in 2020 and 2021. Not transferring authority to me so that I can save Mormon lives. The Moon couple did not have to die for whatever the reason that the murder-suicide happened for. Mother and her child. Murder-suicide did not have to happen. None of the daughters of Zion need to take their lives. That does not have to happen. I can fix it. Oaks can fix it. He refuses to fix it. So hand it over to me and I'll fix it. Stop murdering the saints. Ever there was a time for the death penalty to be enforced for the curse of Joseph Smith, it's now. Oh look, we're in that time period. What a coincidence. At least now I won't have a sneeze. So if you would claim that you would do a certain thing when Armageddon happens, you're lying to me if you're not doing it right now. Because what you are doing right now is what you would do during Armageddon. And we're in Armageddon, and you're doing it right now. She did not have to die. She did not have to be on Xanax. She was being drugged by psychologists who told her she's mentally retarded. She was gaslit and murdered by psychologists through the Mormon Church. That's why psychologists are pure evil. So, even though we still have one more day, KSL, for a second week in a row, I believe. I lose track of time. Have gone without report reporting on psychos, giving them advertising. But ABC4, what the hell? And even Fox 13, they're trying to sneak it in. But it was only the psychologists who have infiltrated the prison system. Well, we already murdered one guy on death row. Let's see if we can murder the others in prison. But they're not on death row. Well, there's overcrowding in the prison, and it's brand new, I know, but they need to expand it even further now. For the more people that are committing crimes. I mean, getting accused of crimes without a trial. Then go to prison. Forcing them to confess. Tricked you. So yeah. Fox 13 News, or Fox News. Numerous chants of New World Order. New World Order. Trump World Order. Remember your base, the QAnoners? Talking about the threat of the deep state from the Illuminati? Oops, you betrayed them. How do you think they're going to respond when they find out? Dumbasses. Yeah, MAGA is all into anti-Illuminati, anti-New World Order. They're all for the New World Order of Jesus. But not the Illuminati. And yet, what kind of church history have I been going over with you concerning the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? Maybe we'll do that song instead of Edelweiss. Oops, did I leak it? All you had to do was look in the description below to see what I put. Yes, the Danites, Mormons, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, are the infamous Illuminati founded by Johann Adam Weishaupt on 1st of May, 1776. The anniversary of which was when the Nauvoo Temple, with all the pretty stars of the Illuminati surrounding it, on the 1st of May, dedicated. And you didn't know? And you're MAGA involved in the anti-Illuminati movement? Even when John C. Bennett was denied going back to the Danites because they set a trap for him and he fell into it, and then oops, and so he goes and forms his own Illuminati order. You didn't catch on? God, bunch of dumbasses. Had the Joseph Smith papers. Why aren't you studying them? God. And so yeah, Trump is employed by the Church of Jesus Christ, fulfilling the will of the church to destroy mankind. So yeah, Jack Smith. Interesting, huh? Yeah, Trump's a criminal. What a shocker. I never saw that coming or did any numerous videos on the topic. And so yeah, his Board of Peace, which, yes, this week, told you, signs of the heavens, likeness of things on the earth, and then the prophecy that occurred on those days. For Trump this time, I told you, it's got a religious component and a government component. There's a dualism going on. So this week I did the government version for you, because I focus on the church and nobody cares. So, yep, the sun with Mercury was at the mouth of the goat beast this time, instead of D. Todd Christofferson as Venus. So sure enough, Trump's 2-hour press conference for the 20th, 21st is Davos, and the 22nd, the Board of Peace. It's intended to replace the UN, to get rid of it and shut it all down. So isn't it interesting that the majority of those who joined were authoritarians? The ones who want peace after you're dead. Yay! Jesus! He's coming! Oh my God. And so, yeah, the U.S. is now officially out of WHO. It took you long enough, Trump. I thought you were going to do that at the beginning of your term. And out of the UN, and out of NATO, and out of this, that, and the other. You shut down the aid. So I don't get it. So, there you go. We're done. Nobody cares. Nobody believes. Everybody wants to die. You made your choices. You made your bed. Now lie in it. I didn't make my bed. Sort of. Kind of. I'll probably still go and lie on it. I don't also lie in the tub.